Here's Curry, deep triple. It's good. We're tied again.
Stephen Curry is 37 years old and still walking into NBA games like a problem nobody solved. On a random night in November 2025 against the Spurs, he casually hangs 49 points and 9 threes on the board in a 1-point Warriors win, like it's just another page in a very long book. That's not what an aging star is supposed to look like. By year 16, most guards are managing expectations, picking their spots, and slowly drifting down the scouting report. With Steph, teams are still trapping him near half court, still sending extra help the second he comes off a screen, still organizing their entire game plan around the fear that he might catch fire. We've had a decade to get used to this. 10 years of logo threes, off-ball chaos, and defenses twisted into shapes they were never designed to handle. And yet, even now, nights like that Spurs game don't feel like a farewell tour. They feel like a reminder. This video isn't about what Stephen Curry used to be. It's about what he still is right now at 37 in the back half of his career. Because if he can still walk into San Antonio, drop 49 with 9 threes, and single-handedly tilt a one-possession game, then the real question isn't how much has Steph lost. It's this. At this age, with this mileage, is Stephen Curry somehow still one of the most dangerous offensive threats in the NBA? Coming out of the 2024-25 season, Golden State felt like a team stuck between eras. They battled in a crowded Western Conference, finished with a solid record, but still had to scrap through the play-in just to secure their spot. On paper, it was respectable. In reality, it fueled the conversation that maybe this version of the Warriors had peaked years ago. That's where the midseason noise really started to build. Curry was turning 37, missing a few more games with minor injuries, sitting out here and there with load management or fatigue. A question soon rises on whether Golden State should start thinking about life after Steph instead of around him. The front office answered that question in a very specific way. They pushed in more chips. Instead of pivoting to a youth movement, they doubled down on veterans, swinging a deal for Jimmy Butler and reinforcing the idea that this team was chasing something now, not 5 years from now. Draymond Green stayed in his familiar role as the emotional and tactical anchor, running the offense as a point forward, directing traffic on defense, and amplifying whatever Steph brought on a given night. So when you look at Curry in this context, he isn't just an aging star putting up nice numbers on a mediocre team. He's the engine of a deliberate, one-more-run experiment in a turbulent franchise that decided it would rather squeeze every last drop out of his prime than quietly move on. The question hanging over all of it is simple. Is Steph still good enough, at this age, to justify that bet? Currently, Steph's not just surviving a season. He's still putting up star numbers, and 2025-26 makes that pretty clear. This year, he's averaging roughly 27 points, about 5 assists, and around 3.5 rebounds per game, while shooting around 47% from the field and right around 39-40% from 3 on massive volume. Those are numbers that put him near the top of the league in scoring, still in clear all-star territory, and firmly in the offensive engine category rather than some spot-up end-of-career specialist. What makes this even more impressive is how it stacks up against last season. In 2024-25, he was a bit lower across the board, around the mid-20s in points, with slightly higher assist numbers but similar efficiency from deep. The story you'd expect at this age is in steady decline. Instead, we're seeing a late career bump in scoring where he's carrying more of the load while still maintaining elite efficiency as a volume shooter. And all of this is happening in the context of a team that still leans on him heavily. Last season's Warriors went 48-34 in a stacked Western Conference. When Steph is on the floor, the offense opens up. When he sits, the spacing and scoring punch drops off a cliff. This year isn't any different. If anything, with injuries and roster issues piling up, His ability to average close to 27 a night on good efficiency is the only thing keeping Golden State from sliding completely out of relevance. One of the reasons Steph is still a problem at 37 is that his game has aged with him instead of against him. The first thing you notice is how weaponized his off-ball movement has become. He's always been elite at relocating and cutting, but now it feels almost surgical. Walking defenders into screens, changing speeds, and subtly dragging help defenders a few steps out of position. He doesn't need the same burst he had at 27 when he can just outthink and outrun guys for half a second at a time. His shot diet has shifted in the same way. There's less dribbling the air out of the ball, fewer long ISOs, and way more quick, decisive actions. Deep pull-ups, catch-and-shoot threes, and direct drives off tilted defenses are the core of his scoring now, which lets him conserve energy across the season while still putting up star numbers. The playmaking has quietly leveled up too. Even if his assists sit in that 5 to 6 per game range, you can see how fast he's processing the floor, anticipating traps, hitting the release valve early, then immediately relocating into open space. He might not drop 40 every night, but he still dictates where defenders have to stand and who on his team gets clean looks. Think about a typical Steph-Draymond action. Steph uses a screen, two defenders jump him, he swings the ball and doesn't pause. He loops off another screen, appears on the weak side, and knocks down a three the defense thought it had taken away. That's the essence of old Steph. Less about raw athleticism, more about turning his mind, conditioning, and movement into a problem you can't scheme out.
Oh, and now Curry gets it right back from half court, and it's gone!
If you want proof that defenses still fear Steph, the numbers back it up just as much as the eye test. Teams are still throwing aggressive coverages at him 30 to 40 feet from the rim. Blitzes, traps, top locking off the ball, even full court pressure from younger guards whose entire job is to make his life miserable. That's because when he's on the floor, the Warriors' offensive rating jumps to around 119 points per 100 possessions, versus roughly 105 when he sits, a swing that basically turns them from a bottom-tier offense into a top-5 one. That's Curry's gravity in numbers. With him out there, bigs have to step higher in pick and roll, weak side wings creep in an extra step, and there's almost always one defender shading toward his side of the floor. The result is simple: wider driving lanes for guys like Jimmy Butler, cleaner short roll reads for Draymond, and more open threes for whoever's spaced in the corners. You could see the full effect of that this season, not just in past seasons. In games where Curry, Butler, and Draymond are all available, Golden State's offense jumps into near elite territory, around 118 to 119 points per 100 possessions with Steph on the court, compared to roughly 105 when he sits. That's the statistical version of two guys fly at him and everyone else feasts. Picture a typical Curry possession. He gets trapped 30 feet out, swings the ball to Draymond, and now it's a 4-on-3. Butler attacks the lane, a shooter lifts from the corner, and Steph might not touch the ball again, but the whole advantage exists because the defense treated him like a live grenade. That's what threat level looks like when the stats and the play agree.
Curry gets a clean look and hits from three.
For all the nights where Steph still looks like a cheat code, the situation around him has quietly gotten a lot darker.
Butler lob.
The first domino was Jimmy Butler. When Golden State traded for him, the idea was simple: give Curry a real co-headliner again, someone who could take the toughest defensive assignments, create offense when Steph sat, and drag the game into the mud when the playoffs slowed everything down. Instead, Butler tears his right ACL in mid-January, and just like that, the Warriors lose the exact kind of two-way wing their entire one-more-run identity was built around. This wasn't just losing a starter, it was losing Plan A. Then there's Steph himself. In the loss to Detroit, he leaves late in the third after an and one, holding his right knee, another flare-up in a joint the team has already been monitoring. Reports say it isn't season-ending, but that almost misses the point. At 37, every limp to the locker room, every knee soreness update feels less like a blip and more like a reminder that the clock is very real now, no matter how good he still looks when he's on the floor. And beneath all of this are the roster cracks. Jonathan Kuminga, once framed as the bridge to the post-Steph era, has bounced between roles and frustration, enough that trade chatter keeps circling his name. Brandon Bajemski hasn't hit as consistently as hoped, looking more like an up-and-down young guard than a locked-in long-term piece. So when we ask, is Stephen Curry still a threat at this age, we're not just talking about whether he can still score 30 or 40. We're really asking whether his brilliance can keep punching through injuries, shaky depth, and a margin for error that keeps getting smaller around him. So is Stephen Curry still a threat at 37?
Grabbing his right elbow.
But Matt, this is off of a rebound. He knew he was going to get hit, the contact.
Yes, and the answer is complicated in exactly the way you'd expect for a superstar this deep into his career. On the downside, the signs of age are real. He's dealing with more wear and tear, missing more games than he did in his late 20s and early 30s, and he can't prop up a mediocre roster for 82 games the way he did during his unanimous MVP era. The explosion nights are less frequent, the back-to-back dominance is harder to sustain, and every minor injury lands with more weight because of what it might mean long-term. But when he's on the floor and reasonably healthy, he still plays like an all-NBA caliber offensive engine. He's putting up star-level scoring, elite shooting efficiency on high volume, and driving an offense that falls off a cliff whenever he sits. That's the modern reality with Steph. The conversation is no longer, is he the best player in the league? It's, do you actually want to see this guy across from you in a 7-game series? Because if he can still hang 40 or 50 on you, still force traps 30 feet from the rim, and still make your whole game plan revolve around his jumper, the honest answer from the rest of the NBA is probably still, absolutely not. As long as Stephen Curry can warp defenses like that, drawing two to the ball, opening up easy looks for everyone else, and casually detonating for double-digit threes when he finds a rhythm, he's not just hanging on or aging gracefully. At 37, he is still one of the most dangerous offensive threats in basketball. The window around him might be shrinking, but inside that window, he's as terrifying as ever. Hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, let us know if you think Curry can still will the Warriors deep into the playoffs, or are they going to fall in the play-in? While you're still here, check out our other videos in the channel and subscribe for more NBA content.